Hey everybody, this is Darwin Renan, the festival director of the Northfield Festival right here in our beautiful Stockholm, Sweden. Today we have two great filmmakers from the US. They did this beautiful work. It's horror film, which is one thing that I love the most. H.P. Lovecraft's Witch House. I love that title, guys. How are you? Bobby and James, how you doing, guys?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Nice. Guys, first of all, the idea, Bobby, tell me the idea. Why did you decide to write this film? How's your process for writing?
Well, after our last project, we wanted to delve a little bit deeper into some more deeper thinking horror instead of our typical slasher stuff. And I became friends with Brian Usna, a producer, reanimator, and all sorts of wonderful legendary horror films. And he asked me to look into the works of H.P. Lovecraft. And there's so many phantasmical alien worlds and titan monsters that we don't have the budgets to do. And so it boiled down to a film with a house and a witch and a man that has nightmares. And that's something we could do. So.
Wow. So how long was the process for you to write the script, Bobby? How's your writing process? Do you outline everything? You go straight to the page, start writing? How tell us a little bit about that process.
Well, we developed a very loose treatment, and then we sent it to Brian, and he looked at it and said, "This won't work. This isn't clear enough." And we would go and shoot, and then it still wouldn't look right on camera to him. I mean, you're talking about a legendary producer and director, and we're indie filmmakers. So everything that we're writing and shooting, he's marking it off with an X. Nope.
Wow.
Redo it. And it was pretty. What did you think, James? Was that like pretty?
Yeah. I mean, I think, Bobby and Ken, once they got their finished script, kind of put together and sent out to Brian and John Penny, they kind of were more hands off, I believe, Bobby, at the beginning. Like, I mean, after we got the basic script and we went and shot it, and then as we started putting scenes together and crafting the story, that's kind of more when Brian's and John's eye and skill came in to talk to Bobby and Ken and myself to say, hey, this scene isn't tight enough, or it needs a little bit, we need to expand on this part of the story because the audience may not follow along and that kind of thing. And I think that's what was really handy with getting Brian and John involved, is they were able to look at it from an outside perspective and say, okay, this is what we've done in the past. So you guys got your script, you started shooting. This is what we think will make it better.
Right. Wow. How was the pre-production process, guys? Now that James is the director of photography, how do you guys decide the look in that stage? What lights to use? You guys do a script breakdown, the storyboards. How is that process of creating this feature film?
Well, I'm a big fan of the Italian 70s horror films like the Mario Bava, Lucio Fulci, just the intensity of those scenes, those shots, the Suspiria, the wild colors of it. And and the franticness of Rob Zombie's kill scenes. And I asked James, can you do that? And I know very little about lighting. And he is the one that came up with the complex just lighting schemes that actually helped separate the different dimensions that Alice is going through.
Right. Wow, James, so you are the master of lighting, huh?
Well, I don't know if I say that, but yeah, Bobby came with the idea, and that's kind of where we, kind of started out. We would do for some of the complex setups, Bobby is an artist, and so he would kind of sketch out some of the storyboards. Right. And then we would show up to the location and go, yeah, this works perfectly, or no, this doesn't work at all because the room is different than we imagined. So that's kind of where it started. And then we we're an indie film and we've got gear, but we are still kind of limited with, what we've got to use. And so that was kind of the challenge was, okay, how can we light this and give it this kind of eerie look and whatnot. And then, luckily for us, after the fact, our colorist, he was able to go in and even kind of bring those colors in a little more to kind of help separate the realities and help us there. And I don't know, I mean, we've gotten some positive feedback, which is great.
Right. Hey, Bobby, tell me, how long was the pre-production process, and do you do rehearsals with the actors, or you do everything? You went straight to production to shoot? How was that? How long was the pre-production?
Well, we had an unusually long production. Are you asking about pre-production or production?
Pre-production. How long was the pre-production? We're gonna go into production.
Pre-production, 6 months at least, I'd have to say. We had books of how the witches should look, the drawings for that. It took James, I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but James and I had to look for a house that would fit the story and feel like it was in a Lovecraftian world. And that's not easy to do. And to find a location like that was going to allow you to be there. We spent a lot of time building in the creature workshop with latex and stuff, like the demon, building the witch's hive. Like there's quite the heart with the lungs. I mean, there's just quite a bit that we knew on paper was going to work somehow. And we dove headfirst into the ocean, I feel like, and we came up swimming in very rough waters.
Oh my God. So how is it? You do rehearsals with the actors, especially with the main ones?
Yes, we had table reads with them on location, and then like James will light the set, and we'll block the scene out. We'll bring them in for rehearsals, let them get real comfortable with it, and kind of watch their performances and kind of fine tune from there.
Wow. Guys, I love people who can make a feature film because it's not easy, and especially independent, that. And you guys really pull it off pretty good, actually. Tell me the production time. How long was the production time?
We started in September of, I believe, 2020, James, or no.
Oh, 2018.
I'm so sorry.
The end of 2018 is when we started in September. And what was going to be a pretty quick, we didn't know how long we had the location.
Right.
And the house, the Hannah house that we were able to get is a historic house here in Indiana, and let us in. And we thought it was going to be a weekend, really. And then we were going to have to find somewhere else to do all the other stuff that's going to be interior. And we lucked out with the proprietor of the home, and he just somehow gave us, the free reign. And so what ended up being, we kind of tweaked the script from that, actually.
Wow.
And we're able to stay there and shoot for, we were doing weekends. We did some during the week at the beginning. But we started to have, because everybody's got other jobs. So we're bringing cast in over the weekends and stuff like that. So yeah, we started in 2018, obviously 2020, by the time we got there, we were doing reshoots. We were wrapped by the end of 2019. And once we got into post-production, we would realize that we didn't have certain elements, or we wanted to expand on the story a little more.
Right.
And so that's where, Bob would talk to Brian Usna and John P. We would get together, and then we call the writer and, hey, can we come out again and shoot this weekend? And then Bobby would work with getting the actors back in, and our line producer, Beth, would work with us, and she was a godsend. So yeah, I mean, do I miss anything, Bobby? Because I know we got, it was because we at the end of COVID. Yeah.
COVID, right?
the pickups that James is, the pickups and the subplot development that he's talking about right when the quarantine went down, states are telling no one can go to different states. So all our actresses are coming from different states, and that shut us down for a good 3-4 months.
Mhm.
But during that time, we spent it really working on the writing. And I
Right.
think that's, we tried to use our time as best we could. And then we're in post-production with all of the special effects and the gore and just the
Mhm.
lighting and how some of the CGI that Mark did, that then our sound, because there's a lot of layering of music, and we were just really trying to set the tone with that. But yeah, it was like an orchestra.
Like a 3-year process.
Wow.
In
I mean,
total.
this is, honestly, guys, this is normal in the independent filmmaking for us, right? It takes all this time actually to make a
Right.
film, Yes, definitely, man. It's painful, You guys feel any time quitting the project? What do you think? Or not? Or not at all? There was any moment that you guys say off?
Well, to be
what do you think?
honest, Brian and John had talked about us shelving it, at a time or two, because it's a short story. It's only a 33-page story, and we're trying to stretch it into this feature. And from what we had and from what they were wanting out of us, it's like climbing a mountain, and we had to develop the story a lot better. So it was, and doing what they said is paying off, I feel,
Right.
them showcasing Cannes, American film market, and great, interest from distributors, just kind of, and with you guys, the interest from the North and Stockholm, really exciting and honored to be selected for your festival.
Thank you, guys. We're happy to have you. That it's great work. We have to have you for sure. How you guys on set, both of you? How do you guys work? How do you, Bobby, give your vision to you, James? How is that process? Are you guys in balance, or sometimes I want this, I want this? How is that working?
Hey, go ahead.
Well, it started off where I had a childlike optimism, and an unbelievable sense of timing and how long it takes to actually get something done. And JD would just say, "Hey, wait a minute. How many scenes are you trying to shoot today?"
Right.
And I'd tell him, and he would just, I know he's got a couple gray hairs from me, but and if I would insist on something, this is in the beginning when we're getting to learn how we work together. I would insist on something and not listen to his technical, advice on how to really pull this off cinematically. And I'd just say, no. And he'd say, "All right, it's your movie." And I'd say, "Okay, wait a minute now. Now you got my attention. Okay, now what were you saying about that light in the corner?" So, but as time went on, we're like a fine-tuned unit. It reminds me of working, time in the Marines, that you get that unit cohesion, that we're taking gear from point A to point B and shooting this, getting that target, getting that target.
Right.
Everybody, we just pulling them all together. And you know how it is. In the film world, if anything, towards the end, you're so good and tight. Everyone is friends. It's like, So.
Yeah. I think, for the most part, we were good, yin and yang together. And, with Bobby's drive, it really, it helped pull me along, because I was talking about, there were times when I get really frustrated because I knew that what I wanted to do and what we had the ability to do.
Right.
And then I would always question everything. Was it good enough? And, Bobby and the crew we'd go back and watch the dailies or even whether it's on the monitor or whatnot there on location. And they would be like, this was great. Let's roll with it. It's great, you know. And then I would always question myself, but Bobby was always there to, you know, as the cheerleader to pull me along and go, listen, don't overthink this. It looks great. Everybody likes it. The take was good, and let's move on. And I think that's what, you know, that helps out a lot when you have a crew that can support each other. You know, I mean, you know, when you're on a set for that long, sooner or later, you're going to be like, okay, it's going to, you know, you're either going to mesh together great, or there'll be days you're just like, So, but I think we ended up, you know, we had a good working flow going on.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, I'm watching it right here. Of course, man, it's great. Tell me, Bobby, how's your style for directing actors? Do you give them freedom? Yeah, directing them. How do you direct them? How's your style? Do you give them freedom? Are you very strict? How is Bobby for directing actors? What do you think?
That's kind of different. I've never been asked that really before. To be honest, we pick actors, we cast the talent that we think is going to do the best for. I pick what I think I want them to look like, and thank goodness that we had such good talent on this shoot, because they're all naturals. If you look at Sol and Sangaris, for example, Brown Jenkin, the Rat Man. We light it up. We go over the rehearsals, and I give them an emotion. You know, I'll say, hey, this is what's happening to you. I'll sit down and have a real quick talk, and they go through. And then if we watch James, or I'll just say, hey, you're a little bit too convincing on that, or, you know, I don't yell action every time. Sometimes we'll just say, hey, when you're ready, stand by. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that's the, you know, the one thing that I noticed. You asked how he was with the actors, and, you know, it's definitely not a strict direction style, because I think what works is once they did the table reads and they know what the gist of the scene is, you know, the actors and actresses, they know what they need to do. And so Bobby, I know just from watching there, it was it's not loose, but it wasn't hey, this is the exact dialogue that you needed to say. But, you know, he knew what he wanted, so he would, if that message got across, I think that's where we were happy. If it felt, you know, organic, that's how I took it. You know, watching Bobby, it was more or less, he would do the talk with them, and then he let them become the character. And you know, and there are times when, like he said, you go, okay, listen, I need a little more emotion out of this, or let's pull back a little bit on this one, or something like that. But I mean, I wouldn't call Bobby's directing style like direct, like what do you call that? Like strict.
Right.
I think he works really well with just letting the actors, you know, become that character.
Right.
Well, one thing I like to do when I realized any shoot you're going to, the major problems of your day are going to happen in that first hour of your day. Something's not going to be delivered. Something's going to be dead. Someone don't have a key, and it might rain. But it's how you deal with that first little issue, and your rest of your day typically will be great. And I try to get over that hump with jokes in the morning, or a song, some old song, hum it. Everyone gets in the groove together. Cool. And I like to also take input from actors and people. And sometimes even the sound guy can see something from an angle that we're not, and could say, hey, man, if she's a little louder on that, or maybe I'm like, hey, get a little more aggressive with that and carry your voice. Let's see. I like taking input. I've been around, I've seen arguments on set before, you know, between different people in other productions. And I'm like, wow, I'm so blessed that I'm able to work with people that, and react the way that, you know, I hope that I do, that keeps everybody having fun, because that's what we're here for.
Right. Let's get back very quick to the pre-production. How was the casting selection? How you guys, was easy, difficult, are people? Because this girl, the protagonist, right? What's her name? She's pretty good, man. I really like her a lot.
Michelle.
Yes, right. That's the one. Correct. Yes. How was the casting process?
It was lengthy and frustrating.
Yeah, right.
I'll say, because one, I have access to talent agencies in my region, and
Mhm.
it's pretty conservative. And the subject matter that we're doing is about a demonic witchcraft,
Right.
black magic possession. And so that X's out a lot of the females instantly. So now I'm having to go to the Scream Queen pool and women that exclusively work in this genre.
Mhm.
But I also have John. John wasn't, it was Brian Usna mostly. He was the gatekeeper. I mean, any girl that he would swat them away. Nope, she looks too next door American Girl. Nope, she looks too gothic. Nope, she looks too many tattoos. Nope. And I'm like, gosh, she's a brunette. Nope, she's a blonde. I'm like, what do you want? We literally went 15 actresses for that lead. And one of our original auditions was Michelle Morris.
Right.
And he told her, he said, nope, nope, nope. And then when we got her on camera, he said, she is very convincing.
Yeah.
And we were like, wow, that's good. You know, because a lot of actors are horrible at auditions.
Right.
And they'll admit that to you. And so Solon, the Brown Jenkins character, he really just has this distinct look, like a Bela Lugosi, or not Bela, but a Boris Karloff-ish type look to him. His stature, oh my God, he's a natural. And I wish he worked more, a lot more.
Nice.
And anybody you want to bring up cast-wise? Oh, Andy Noir.
They're all good, man. Absolutely. They're all good. They're really sync. Definitely.
That's great to hear. We appreciate the feedback, because, you know, with our community, you know, we'll kind of pat each other on the back because we think, oh man, they did great. And when you hear somebody, you know, from, you know, a director of a festival contact you and say, man, your actors, they really pulled this off. It's appreciate.
You guys did the right work, you know. Let's go to post-production, guys. I guess it was a long process too, right? Walk me, especially the editing process, which is pretty difficult, right? It's difficult.
Well, and Bobby he's a go-getter. So we would shoot and we'd be wrapping up at, you know, midnight, you know, 1 o'clock. And the next morning he would send me a message and say, okay, I did a rough cut of that scene, so we'll look at it later. And then you know, we would go through it like that, and Bobby would kind of build the structure, and then I would get the hard drive, and then I would go through and kind of do, you know, the more intricate editing throughout the process. And so we would get in there, and, you know, we would be done with the day, and Bobby would already go back and start putting stuff together. And I was like, whoa, you know, and it was a long process. You know, especially when you're retooling the story off of, you know, when you're editing from the original script, and now we're a year and a half in, and we're retooling it. So now this piece kind of, this doesn't fit here anymore because we've changed this part of the story. And that was tough.
Very, yes. To add to what JD is saying about it, it's like the movie Terminator. You know, you can't touch your past because it will affect your future. And so when we were editing and we would change something, well, now we can't do this scene anymore. It doesn't work. It took that out. So now we have 2 holes in the film. Then our writer Ken, he would back his brain constantly on how to make that possible in the fabric of the reality of a story that's interdimensional anyway. And there's only so much that you can, bullshit. It has to make sense.
Right.
And that was like balancing an equation. That was the hardest part, you know, to our
Right.
structure of the story.
Right. The girl who plays Alice also, she's pretty good, man. I really like her a lot as well.
Yeah. Michelle has starred in some films before. She's got
Yeah,
her own production company. She
she's so
directs some
good.
music videos.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm getting ready to work with her this weekend, as a matter of fact, out in the
hmm
cold. But
right.
she's a
She,
go-getter. She's a
for
monster.
sure. Yes, man. Good choice. Absolutely. So, how long was the editing process? The final master, the final cut. How long was it? You guys remember? More or
Well,
less.
a year maybe of our
That's it.
time was spent because we were finishing up little bits of pickups, little shots while our the movie was at the post-production house, and he was tearing it apart, going through and starting to work on the color of it, and just giving it that dark edge and focusing on the things that we really wanted to see. And then in the meantime, we're turning footage into him to keep adding to this big, to the, you know, the big matter. And then we're taking chunks back home, working on them, and then giving them back to him to put in. And then the audio, I mean, we spent a good considerable amount of time with that, the dialogue.
You know, when we lucked out, I mean, you know, lucked out, but that was where the majority of crafting the story in the edit came from, was COVID, because we were all stuck at home.
Right.
So we were able to spend that, you know, a lot of 2020, you know, first few months of 2020, just, you know, focused in on the editing. And then we would kind of put it back and forth. And then after we got that story crafted, like Bobby said, we sent it off to the colorist and for the post-production final.
Right.
So,
Cool. How's the music, Bobby? Tell me, how you guys choose the music, especially you? Is it something that you were having in your mind before, or is something that comes in the editing process? What do you think? Or is a mix of everything for the
Well,
music?
I have a background in music, and
I
I
see it.
really think
I see it
I think
just behind you. Yes.
oh yeah. I let music drive my emotion, like how I feel about something. And so when we shoot something and I'm putting a rough cut together, I'll put like a synth track, just run it for a long time, and I'll edit to that when I'm making my cut. And it's just, it helped, because I feel like a horror movie should take you on a roller coaster ride. And like songs do that too. You know, they get, you know, they're real soft in an opening, and then they hit this big crescendo. And I think that's what horror does. And so I also like had to think a lot about the drums and the percussion, because we're dealing with witches in a coven and more primitive sounding, you know, like just, and then I just like gongs and weird, just detuned instruments. Dylan Nance, composer that did a lot of the background stuff that you'll hear. Him and Kevin MacLeod is another good one. And then I like Rob Zombie stuff, and I like Western out there type stuff. And so I always love the very end song in a film. And El Creepo as a group that made Lock the World Outside, and that's the very end song. And I think it's just beautiful with the whole, you can't hide who you really are, and everybody in the film really isn't who they are. And that's just kind of, it just, and then I like 80s new wave music, so I just liked kind of hearing that type of throwback. James and I are fans of 80s horror movies, so just little touches of that there, here and there. So
nice. Guys, how do you guys decide the movie was ready? You guys do that like a preview before with a private public, or you show it to friends? How was that process to say, okay, now it's ready, we do all the tweets? Or it was more personal for you guys, or it was feedback? How was that?
I think a lot of feedback. I mean, once we felt it was done, we sent it off to Brian and John, and you know, at some point you're finally like, okay, now we got to get this movie locked down. So I think it was more, I mean, for me, it was give me the feedback. Let me know that it's ready to, you know, be out there for the masses. I don't know, Bobby, how about you?
Definitely we were constantly sending rough cuts to Los Angeles, back and forth. And there'd be a list this long, then it'd be shorter. And then boom, here's a whole nother list. And then until the lists just got shorter. You know how it is, you make a list and you check things off, and it just got to be where this is about it, guys. And they're like, hey, it's your film. You have to be done with it at some point. You know, we could sit here all day long over a story and keep crafting it, you know, and a lot, you know, like just to touch back on the music, a lot of my initial music selections had changed multiple times because production was so long. You know how you get tired of hearing a song so much? I was like, oh no, I'm new music now, guys. I'm done. And I'm like, nope, new year, new music for the film. Yeah, and it was just, yeah, I feel that way. So,
Wow.
Thoughts, JD?
Yeah, I think it's about it. That's kind of how I felt was, you know, once we got that final feedback. And the best thing about what I noticed with Brian and Usna and John Penny, was they were willing to give their input, but willing to let Bobby control the movie. They would say, you know, look, this is our input, but this is your movie. This is your guys's, you know, this is your art.
Right.
Or whatnot. And so you can, you know, we're giving you our input.
Right. So guys, which was the most difficult process in the phase of filmmaking for you, making the H.P. Lovecraft Witch House? The pre-production, production, or post-production? Everything is difficult, but which one was the one that you guys say, I want to give up now, of the three phases, or everything?
For me, it was post-production. I just felt that we were constantly, you know, just inching along in post-production. And I think that, you know, when you're in post-production, a lot of times it was just me in front of a keyboard, and then it was just Bobby in front of a keyboard. When you're in production, you've got that crew there behind you, right, you know, rooting you on. And that's, you know, I enjoy the editing process. You know, I do like my alone time, but there's something about having that group of people there that can, you know, pat you on the back when you're like going, oh, I just don't know if I can do this anymore.
Right.
And for me, post-production was definitely the hardest part for me.
What do you think, Bobby?
Oh gosh.
Everything was hard, right? All the phases, probably.
Production was hard, but it was fun hard. You know, like,
yeah.
It was, at least we're out there doing this. We got the lights, the smoke, the blood. We're all laughing, eat lunch, we're shooting, getting good stuff, and things are breaking. You know, stuff's falling apart, but we're still having fun. But production, you're alone. You know, and then post production, it's not just completing the movie; it's navigating festival circuit, it's promoting the film, it's looking for the distribution, it's talking to the sales agents, the attorneys. There's like all the numbers and the accountants and the taxes, all this stuff that you're like, I want to be out there with the blood and the fog and the typewriter. That's the teenage, you know, pre-production's fun because you're like, oh my God, can you picture it, JD? And this will happen. And then when you get to person, you're like, oh my God, we typed that? We're supposed to do that? We can't possibly do that. Then
I think I said that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Every time Bobby bring another script page in, I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And then post-production is a bunch of, well, you guys should have done that. And next time, make sure you do this.
Yeah, right.
So,
correct, man.
They all have their different flavors.
Yes. Oh man, yeah, it's so painful. It's exactly what you say.
Not to knock post-production, but it is really rewarding when we start seeing the music coming together with the special effects and the CGI. That's the real rewarding stuff, is when we're also able to talk to people like you in these festivals and see it come to life. Like we had a Indianapolis premiere, big carpet at our Indianapolis Art Center. Everyone was dressed up. And we had a great sold out 200 seat theater sold out.
Wow.
And we were getting rave reviews from people that hadn't even heard peep about the film, and that really helped. So
Right. Guys, before I let you go, guys, how can we get in contact with you guys if we want to, interact with you, the people from the Northfield Festival? Any website where we can find you, social media that you can share with us very quick?
yes, right now we're in the middle of a world festival run, and right now our big stop is the North Film Festival in Stockholm, Sweden, in February.
That's right.
And continuing on into October, yes, we're looking for some distribution, and you can catch us at our coming very, very soon, witchhousemovie.com. But if you want to check out all sorts of information about the film, you can go to Facebook and look up H.P. Lovecraft's Witch House, Instagram, Witch House the Movie. That's Witch House the Movie. That's my favorite, because you're going to see all the pre-production stills, the production stuff, storyboards, just inspirational stuff, and all the good everything.
Guys, thank you so much. JD
Thank
and
you.
Bobby.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. We'll be in contact. I see you online, guys.
Excellent.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thanks.
And we got Barcelona. Barcelona can be the place where you guys gotta come over with that film for sure. All right.
Okay. All right.
Right
Thank
on.
you. Let us know when you publish this so we can share it on our
Sure.
social media.
Take care, guys.
All right, Darwin.
Bye.
Thank you.
Later.
Thank you, guys. Later.